Your neighbor Dave is a proud man. Every weekend, rain or shine, he's out there, mowing, edging, watering, treating his lawn like it's the eighth wonder of the world. But this spring, something went wrong. Patches of white-flowered, three-leafed plants started creeping across his perfectly manicured grass. Clover, everywhere. It wasn't just a few plants. It was a full-scale invasion, spreading between the grass blades, popping up in clusters, making his lawn look patchy and neglected. All that weekend warrior effort, suddenly looking like nothing. So Dave did what most people do. He called a professional lawn care service. They showed up, walked around for about 12 minutes, nodded seriously, and handed him a quote. $600 for the full season. Dave nearly choked on his coffee. That's when I walked over. "Dave," I said, looking at the quote, then at his lawn, then back at the quote. "This isn't a $600 problem. This is a $3 problem." He looked at me like I'd just told him the earth was flat. Here's the thing most people don't know, and what that lawn care company was absolutely counting on him not knowing. Clover isn't some exotic, hard-to-kill superweed. It's an opportunist. It shows up when your soil invites it in. And the fix? It's sitting on a shelf at your local garden center for the price of a fast food meal. But before we get to the solution, there's something worth understanding about clover itself, because it actually has a fascinating history. Not long ago, clover wasn't considered a weed at all. Grass seed manufacturers used to intentionally mix clover into lawn seed blends because it kept the soil healthy and green even through dry summers. It was seen as a feature, not a flaw. Then, in the 1950s, broadleaf herbicides hit the market. And since clover died when sprayed, companies quietly rebranded it as a weed so their products would seem more necessary. The perfect grass-only lawn became the standard almost entirely through marketing. Dave's enemy was once someone else's best friend. So, why does clover show up in the first place? This is the part most homeowners completely skip, and it's exactly why the problem keeps coming back year after year. Clover grows where grass struggles. Specifically, it thrives in soil that is low in nitrogen. Grass needs a steady supply of nitrogen to stay thick, lush, and green. When that nitrogen runs out, from poor fertilization, heavy rain washing it away, or just natural depletion, grass weakens. It thins out. It leaves gaps. And clover, nature's little opportunist, moves right in. Here's what makes clover genuinely remarkable from a biological standpoint. It produces its own nitrogen. Clover has a symbiotic relationship with soil bacteria called rhizobium, which live in nodules on its roots and pull nitrogen directly from the air and fix it into the soil. This means clover doesn't need you to feed it. It feeds itself. In poor, compacted, nutrient-starved soil where your grass is barely surviving, clover is practically in paradise.
But clover does have weaknesses, and knowing them is everything. First, it hates being mowed short. Low mowing heights stress clover significantly more than grass. Second, it struggles in well-aerated, loose soil where grass roots can outcompete it. Third, and most importantly, it cannot survive being shaded out. When grass grows tall and thick enough to block sunlight from reaching the soil surface, clover simply can't photosynthesize properly and eventually gives up.
So the real goal here isn't just to kill the clover you can see. It's to ask yourself one honest question first. Do you want to eliminate clover completely, or just control it and stop it from spreading? Because if your soil problems aren't fixed, new clover will always return. No matter how much you spray. That $600 service would have learned that the hard way, probably right around the same time they handed Dave a second invoice. All right, let's talk about the $3 solution. The product in question is an iron-based herbicide, commonly sold under names like Iron X or similar iron sulfate formulations, and it works through a beautifully simple mechanism. Clover and other broadleaf plants are extremely sensitive to excess iron. When this powder contacts their leaves, it disrupts their metabolic processes at the cellular level, essentially burning through the plant tissue. The clover darkens, withers, and dies within a few days. Your grass? Completely unbothered. Turf grass handles iron exposure well. In fact, in small amounts, iron actually deepens the green color of your lawn, so you're simultaneously killing the clover and making your grass look better. That's the kind of 2-for-1 deal that no $600 service is going to advertise. The results are visible fast. Within 48 to 72 hours of application, you'll see the clover patches turning dark and collapsing. By the end of the first week, those patches are dead, and your grass is already filling the space. Now, to make sure clover doesn't come back from seed, there's a second weapon worth knowing about: corn gluten meal. This is a completely natural byproduct of corn processing, and it acts as a pre-emergent, meaning it prevents seeds from germinating in the soil. Clover seeds sitting in your lawn waiting for their moment. They simply never sprout. As a bonus, corn gluten meal contains roughly 10% nitrogen by weight, so it slowly feeds your grass at the same time. You're blocking future clover while fertilizing your lawn with one product. Let's talk numbers for a moment, because this is where things get genuinely satisfying. A bag of iron sulfate powder runs about $8 to $12 and covers several thousand square feet. Corn gluten meal costs roughly $15 to $20 for a bag that handles an average-sized lawn. Add in some grass seed for overseeding bare patches, another $10 to $15, and your total investment is somewhere between $20 and $30 for the entire lawn, for the entire season, versus $600. And the safety profile of this approach is worth mentioning, especially if you have kids or pets running around. Iron-based herbicides and corn gluten meal are dramatically safer than synthetic chemical herbicides like triclopyr or dicamba, which are the standard tools in most professional lawn care arsenals. You're not laying down compounds that require warning labels and re-entry periods. You're using iron powder and a corn byproduct. The powder handles the clover that's already there. But if you stop there, you've only won a battle. Here's how you win the whole war. Step 1 is about the grass itself. A thin, weak lawn is an open invitation. Your real goal is to make the grass so thick and competitive that clover has no room, no light, and no opportunity. Everything else supports this objective. Step 2 is changing how you mow. Most people mow too short. It makes the lawn look neat, but it's actually one of the biggest reasons clover thrives. Keep your grass at 3 to 4 inches tall. At that height, the grass blades create a canopy that shades the soil surface. Clover seedlings trying to establish themselves never get the sunlight they need. This single change eliminates a huge portion of your clover problem before it even starts. Step 3 is rethinking how you water. Daily light watering encourages shallow root systems, and shallow-rooted grass is weak grass. Instead, water deeply once a week, targeting about 1 full inch of water per session. This pushes the roots down into the soil profile, making your grass drought-resistant, more competitive, and much harder to displace. Deep roots win, shallow roots struggle. Step 4 is overseeding. Look at your lawn and identify every bare or thin patch, because those patches are where clover will return. Spread quality grass seed over those areas in early fall or early spring. Keep them lightly moist until germination. As that new grass fills in, it physically takes up the space where clover would otherwise set up camp. You're not just growing grass. You're evicting future clover before it arrives. Now, for stubborn patches that refuse to respond to the iron treatment, and there will be a few, you have 2 good options. Manual removal works well for isolated clusters. Dig down, get the root system, and don't leave fragments behind. For larger, persistent patches, a targeted application of a selective broadleaf herbicide like triclopyr, applied carefully and precisely, will handle them without broad chemical exposure across your whole lawn. The key word is targeted. You're treating a small area, not blanket spraying everything. By the end of the season, Dave's lawn looked like a different property. The clover patches were gone. The grass was thick, dark green, and growing in places that had been bare for years. Neighbors started asking him what service he'd hired. He hadn't hired anyone. His total cost came in under $75, and that included the iron herbicide, corn gluten meal, a bag of grass seed, and a basic fertilizer application mid-season. Compared to the $600 quote, he'd saved over $500 and actually understood his own lawn for the first time. But here's the honest part. This isn't a permanent, one-time fix. Lawns are living systems, and they need ongoing attention. The single most valuable thing Dave did, and that anyone dealing with recurring clover should do, is get a soil sample test. These cost between $10 and $30 through your local agricultural extension service, and they tell you exactly what your soil is missing. Nitrogen deficiency? Calcium imbalance? Wrong pH? The test tells you, and then you fix that. Which means next spring, the clover has no reason to come back in the first place. You're no longer reacting, you're preventing. One last thing worth saying, because honesty matters here. Clover isn't purely a villain. For pollinators, bees especially, clover is one of the most valuable food sources in a suburban landscape. It tolerates drought better than most grasses. It fixes nitrogen naturally. If you have a section of your yard that's low traffic and low visibility, letting a little clover exist there isn't the worst thing in the world. Nature rarely needs to be completely defeated, just managed. The real lesson from Dave's $600 near disaster isn't that professional lawn services are useless. It's that understanding your problem is always worth more than outsourcing it blindly. The clover wasn't winning because it was powerful. It was winning because the soil conditions favored it. Change the conditions, and you change the outcome. For $3 and a little patience,